Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to tie a fly called the Black Cormorant. Um, and I don't have all the exact materials, um, but we're going to go with what I have. Just smashing the barb down here. This is a Mustad. This is a fly I would use for a Bergman wet. It's a little bit of a longer shank than maybe ideal for this pattern. This is size 14. I'm just using some black thread here. The history of this fly is a little cryptic. Seems as though it was first used in a youth fly fishing competition on Stillwater, and everyone was having trouble that day except for this one young man, and this was the fly responsible. And but nobody knows who that angler was. A guy named Graham Pearson named the fly Black Cormorant, but the original fly had just a hurl body and black marabou wing. And I first came across this fly from another YouTube channel, another YouTube tyer called Mac Flies. He's got a great channel. You should check it out. I've really been watching some of his videos. And he used green hurl and red holographic tinsel, which I thought was super cool. I don't have red holographic tinsel or green dyed peacock hurl, but I did have this UV hurl that I just showed you that I found. I guess it's sprayed with something that makes it shine in the UV light. And then I just have regular red tinsel, not holographic tinsel. So there we are. Did a thread base down the hook, tied in the tinsel. This red tinsel is green on one side, red on the other side, so you'll see green at some point, but I tied the red against the hook. I'm just tying in 2 strands of hurl. And my friend Jonathan, who is trout conjurer, hopefully going to be doing some videos himself, insists that every time you tie with hurl, you got to make like a dubbing noodle. So, hey, and that's the way Mac Flies does it, so that's what I did here. Stroke the fibers down, wrap it around the thread, make, in essence, what's like a dubbing noodle, and then you're gonna spin that around the hook, like you would a hackle. I'm stroking the fibers back as I twist it, and just kind of making a nice hurl body here. And then I'm going to go from there. I was really drawn to this pattern because it almost looks like a winged wet fly, like a traditional winged wet fly. And the basis, there's so many flies like this. Leadwing coachman's an obvious one. But instead of using quills for the wings, it's just a nice piece of marabou, but not like a big, huge chunk of marabou like you would on a streamer pattern, but something to give it the shape and size of like a wing, like a wet fly, but obviously with way more motion. And sure, this was used in Stillwater, but I think particularly in small sizes, on a river, this could be amazing as something that can be fished like a streamer, like a really small streamer, or it can be fished just like you would a traditional wet fly. Mac Flies even talks about it as like possibly imitating a nymph. So I guess, yeah, at this small size, you could even dead drift it. It might be mixed up for a nymph or something emerging, with just a little bit of motion from the marabou. So I'm gonna twist this red tinsel first around the butt end of the hook here. I'm gonna go down a little bit because this tinsel's kind of thin, and then back up just to kind of make a red sort of hot spot there. And then I'm going to go through the hurl, trying to, wiggle it a little bit to get it down in there and have some hurl sticking through. But I'm also going to do the ribbing pretty close together, in essence, kind of making it a little bit more like a red fly if I can, with just some of the hurl hanging out, rather than a hurl body with just the rib. So that's the idea. And I'm not really counting here how many, but I'm going to go all the way up to the head, to just behind the eye, and tie it off there. Couple ties behind, to really secure it in there. And then I always like to do one in front. It's kind of like suspenders and a belt, strapping it all in, and then cut that off close. Now the black marabou, so it's tricky on the amount. I'm sure after doing a bunch of them and some practice, you would get, I'm just cleaning up the head here, you would get, pretty good at picking out the amount. But, think a very small amount, especially for a size 14. So I just took like a small pinch here off of one feather. And I'm going to trim off the curlies there from what was on the stem. And then right at the edge, where you're going to tie it in, if you pull off the fuzzies, you remove the bulk and you get down just to the stem of each little marabou flew, if you will. And that won't make the head area as bulky. So just doing a pinch wrap to kind of grab it, another couple of wraps to hold it on. I'm just going to kind of take a look at it, make sure, like you would a quill wing, just make sure it's kind of centered on there. And then another really tight turn. I'm going to pinch it, hold it, and clip off those butts using the down eye of the hook as a really good angle. And then coming all the way to the edge of the eye, start wrapping with a flattened thread and come up, cover up all that stuff and build a head at the same time. And then all the way at the back, I spin my bobbin to flatten it while I grab my whip finish tool. And then back to front, whip finish, just to finish it off with flattened thread again, not to add too much bulk, but to continue to cover any butts or any fuzzy things coming up over there. Pull that sucker tight and snip off. I snip off, I just open my scissors a little bit like a V, and then I push up and through, and that snips the thread. Now, you want it to be a little bit longer than the shank of the hook, so grip with one hand, all of it there, and then rip off, so you don't want to cut it, because you don't want it to be like super perfect even. You want to be a little rough. So I did that, and now I'm looking at it, I'm playing with it. It still looks too big to me. It looks too fuzzy, and it looks a little too long in the back. So I'm gonna just grip in there, and because I haven't put any head cement on, I can yank some of those fibers out, and I yanked a little bit at the top. I'm liking the look of the sparser wing there a little bit better. And now it's time for a little head cement. And so I use Sally Hansen's, and I thin it with alcohol, just rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, to get it pretty thin. So a lot of the old wet fly tires liked a product called Griff's Thin, which is no longer around, but it was a very thin, deep penetrating head cement. You can see already that just soaked right in. And that's gonna dry. Usually do about 2 coats of those, 2 or 3, and then you could use Sally Hansen or some other sort of lacquer on top. Make the head nice and smooth. There you go. Fluffed and blow dried. A little spin there. Hopefully you can see it's mostly red. A little bit of the Hurl there and the black marabou. And gotta primp it a little bit. And so no beard, but the wing. And that's the fly. Thanks.